What's up guys, welcome back to another video, and we have back here today the mighty old GU Patrol. If you remember this from last year with the fully built solid lifter converted RB25 DET. Made really good power last time. So last time this was here, there were a few just little wiring gremlins and stuff that, because it hadn't been finished. So Darcy's actually got all that sorted, so all the wiring's finished. What he actually had happen was the fuel pump that was in it ended up shitting the bed, and what we actually found when Darcy started to research into the fuel pump that was in it, it was a Holley pump. And they're not actually, apparently not designed for, you know, big duty cycle. They're designed for sort of short bursts sort of thing. Like they're not really designed to be in a street car running all the time. Not to mention it was a huge pump and it was really sort of overkill for this setup. So we're going to twin Bosch 044s now in here. Darcy's just setting this up. We've got twin Bosch 044s, which we're gonna stage with the Haltech. So we're gonna have stage twin pumps. So we don't have a single pump that's way overkill just running all the time. Last time it was here, I expressed my concerns about the drivetrain, about the gearbox and stuff, with the amount of power that was, you know, hoping to be made and being such a heavy car. Let me tell you that Darcy's definitely not been kind to this thing. He's definitely put it through its paces. He's definitely tested the limits, and the thing is still together. So we made 490 at the wheels on E85, and Darcy's just absolutely punished this thing, and it's been, apart from this fuel pump, it's been awesome. So it's back here today. We're gonna set up these fuel pumps, give it a bit of a cleanup. When he got the wiring finished off, Darcy also had the Auto Sparky put in a switch in the handbrake so that we can set up two-step. So we'll set up some two-step on this thing, which will be nice and fun as well. Knowing now that, you know, the drivetrain's safe and it's gonna hold together. Certainly seems like it's gonna hold together. Darcy's been through 2 clutches now, but the gearbox is still together. We're gonna pretty much try and push for that big 500 wheel on E85 today. Try and make that 500, just so we've got the number. It'd be really cool for this thing to make 500, especially considering the drivetrain it's making it through and the size of the turbo. Like it's a pretty big deal for this thing to make 500 at the wheels, I reckon. It'll be awesome. So while Darcy's doing that, I'm gonna try and sort out the intake air temp sensor. So when it first came here, the intake air temp sensor was installed into the intake manifold. Now, this is not where I ideally like to see them. I like to see them in front of the throttle body. That way they're always getting high speed air, which means they're always getting accurate representation of intake air temp instead of getting, you know, stale heat-soaked air from the manifolds. So I'm gonna move that. Darcy also got a Bosch 2-in-1 oil temp and oil pressure sensor, which has now been wired in as well. So we finally have some oil pressure inputs for the ECU for this engine, which means that I can actually finally tune in some protection parameters for this thing as well. So a few little things to clean up, have a clean up of the fuel map, try and get our 500 wheel, set up some engine protection for oil pressure, and set up some two-step and move some sensors, and we should be on our way to hopefully 500 wheel. So for anyone who missed this at the start of last year, what we've got here is a fully built, fully forged RB25 DET. It's got huge, big Tomei Pro cams in it it's been solid lifter converted. You've got a Garrett Gen 2 3076R with our, I don't know what brand this forward facing is, but you know, forward facing plenum, stuff like that. It's got a NBC twin plate clutch now. It's a GU box or a GQ box, Darcy? So it's a GQ box, gearbox, RB manual gearbox from a GQ. GU transfer case, GU diff.
GU diff,
Yep.
GQ transfer still.
Oh, GQ transfer, sorry. So it's GQ box and transfer with the GU diff. So, you know, it's pretty big running gear, which is why it's pretty impressive that it made so much power. We were always sort of pretty impressed. Darcy has a lot of fun in this thing. He's taken it up the beach a few times. He's gone through a fair few tires. There's some pretty cool footage around of this thing really eating. So I love the way Darcy drives it. It's a really good business card. We love it. So the pro cams in it are like 12mm lift or something. Like they're massive, huge big cams. So yeah, pretty cool. It's a Haltech Elite 2000 as well. So Haltech Elite 2000, controlling everything, flex fuel, all that jam. All right, so we've just learned that it actually doesn't have the wiring for the second pump yet. So we're just gonna go back to single 044. I'll run up on the dyno just in 98. Make sure we're gonna be all right for 98. We'll still set up the two-step and still set up some engine protection and stuff with the new sensor in that, but it's gonna have to come back once the second pump's sorted for E85 again, because the single's gonna be pushing it for E85 for what this thing's doing. So that's gonna be the plan for today, and it'll have to come back at a later date. All right, guys, so ended up just having an absolutely shitful day. Chased issues all day. So on the way here, he had a big problem. He thought it was the fuel pump. It was running like absolute crap. Turns out it wasn't the fuel pump. The ECU for some reason was just seeing the absolutely raw min of both the coolant and intake air temp, also actual ECU unit temperature as well. So it was almost like every single temperature sensor in the circuit, including the internal one for the ECU, was just completely wigging out. Like the 5 volt was completely wrong. And so The ECU thought that it was running like 130 degrees Celsius intake air temp and 120 degrees Celsius coolant temp, so that's why it was running like shit, because it was dumping fuel and ripping timing out. So that's what the problem was there. Eventually that just sorted itself out. We didn't even do anything. We did nothing, it just sorted itself out. We were just playing around with some stuff and eventually it just started working. I have no idea why, but it just does. And then shortly after that, we just lost the cam angle sensor. Again, just lost it, gone. Found a broken wire, fixed that, but the wire that has been used is like very, very brittle, and yeah, so we just had wiring install all day. So that's just been put in the bin for now. It's been put out the side until something else can be sorted, because I'm not dealing with that. So anyway, we'll keep posted with that. Hopefully it's sorted and back here fairly soon, but we'll see. All right, guys, so after that last little kerfuffle, we've got the Patrol back here. The owner has got those few things sorted now, and the thing is finally ready to be sort of just touched up and have a few things sorted out. Alright guys, so a few little adjustments. As you saw, got the two-step set up, well, two-step anti-lag, whatever you want to call it, but it sounds pretty menacing. I don't really want to give it any more RPM than it's got. You know, for this thing being what it is, it's more of just a noise and wow factor thing. It's not really actual functional thing, because I'm pretty sure if we actually used it functionally and tried to launch this thing at, you know, 12 pound at any more than 4,000 RPM, it would definitely launch gearboxes. But regardless, it's set up and it sounds cool and it does the thing, so that's all good. And we did manage to crack 500 on the E85, so did have a few funny things where I had to get like a fair bit more duty cycle into it to get the boost back up to where it should have been from last time. And the only thing that was really a lot different is that this time we had the lid on the airbox. So with the lid on the airbox, we're restricted to only that outlet there, which we have a restricted inlet for the actual pod filter, which obviously if you're getting more vacuum in this area on the front side of the compressor wheel, well then you're getting a bigger pressure differential across the compressor wheel, which means it's working harder and potentially out of its efficiency. So either way, I just thought I'd try it. I pulled the airbox lid off and gave it a go, and literally back-to-back runs without changing anything except for pulling the airbox lid off was worth like 30 horsepower. So airbox lid's over here, pulled off, and yeah, that's after that, because we were sitting at around 470. It made a lot more power last time, that's why, because we didn't have an airbox lid last time. So anyway, 500 horsepower, we got the number, I'm happy with that, 503.6. Owner's stoked, I'm sure the new owner's going to be wrapped. Anyway, it's an absolute weapon of a combo. You know, it is a bit of a shame that it's getting sold. We originally had talked about building just a 3025 to chuck in here and actually put this motor into an actual car with a decent hot side and actually see what it could do, because honestly, I'd reckon this thing with a decent hot side would easily go 800. These cams are just off tap. The way, yeah. Absolute props to the bloke who built this motor, and yeah, it's been cool to work with. But yeah, obviously, owner's got other plans, Darcy's got other plans for other stuff to do, and he's had a lot of fun with it, and now it's time for someone new to have some fun with it, so that's how it goes. But anyway, it's about all that I was going to show you guys. At this point, all it is now is same as last time. I made a few small adjustments to the fuel map, so all I'm going to do is just tomorrow, now because it's getting a bit late, start putting pump 98 back into it and diluting it down, and the same thing, just keep diluting it and running it up and just checking, make sure our scalers are all good from E85 all the way back to, you know, 98. So make sure they're all good, but they should be fine. Realistically, they shouldn't really have to be changed from the last tune. I just made small adjustments to the actual base map. Yeah, didn't actually make any adjustments actually when I put E85 in it. It all obviously works out because of Haltech's E85 modeling. So that's all fine. Just a matter of making sure it's all right all the way back to 98 and then we're right to go. So that's it for this one, guys. Hope you've enjoyed. Time to say goodbye to the old girl, and we'll see you on the next one. Peace out. See you, bye. Alright guys, so it's very sad to inform you that shortly after filming this video and finishing this retune and getting this thing set up, we actually lost the Patrol in a fire. The owner had it back for a couple of days. It wasn't in our hands, so he had it back, and unfortunately there was a fire which started from the engine bay. At this stage we're of the assumption that it was E85 that had leaked from a fuel line. So they had just pumped out all of the 98 from the tank and gone to get E85, and on the way back this happened. So the owner reckons as he was pumping it out, obviously he had to remove and replace the fuel line to the reg, and he reckons he might have bumped the reg and something might have happened. Unfortunately, the damage is too severe that we will never actually know exactly what caused it, but unfortunately the Patrol is no longer. So if any of you needed a reminder to keep a fire extinguisher in your car and be vigilant about your fuel system, this is it. So there's quite extensive damage. The owner tried his best to put the fire out with what he had in the car. Unfortunately it wasn't enough to stop it spreading. However, quick thinking from the owner, shut the bonnet to try and keep a lot of that heat out of the engine bay. So we are hoping that a lot of this combination will be salvageable. Those cams are very special, that's what made that combo. We're hoping we can save the cams, hoping we can save just about the whole rotating assembly. I haven't actually seen the car since this all happened, but I'm told that it doesn't look like the block or anything has been super duper hot. So the plan is to send it all away and get it all hardness tested to make sure none of it's gone soft, but we are hoping to rebuild this engine combo at the very least. But anyway, that's a future deal. Unfortunately, these things happen. I just thought I'd keep you updated. It's a very, very sad turn of events. It was a very sad day. It's been very upsetting, particularly the fact that the new owner was actually due to come and pick it up the next day. So they took it to the servo to get it full of fuel. They just finished getting everything prepped, ready for the new owner. And unfortunately, this happened literally on the way home. So yeah, very upsetting. It is what it is. Be careful out there, guys. But you'll see this combo back in something else. We will build it and put probably a bigger turbo on it and an auto behind it or something, and put it in something light. But anyway, it is what it is. Thanks for watching. Peace out. See you. Bye.